It all started with a single post. One late night, when the fans were scrolling through their feeds expecting nothing more than the usual glammed-up selfies and behind-the-scenes clips, Karlie broke the internet with a bombshell that nobody could have predicted. A leaked message, a whispered truth, and a private secret that tied Jasmine Washington and Kirk Frost together in a way that even the most loyal followers of love and hip-hop Atlanta never saw coming. Within minutes, the comments section was on fire. "Is this for real?" One fan typed. "Karlie messy again, but this time she's playing with dynamite," another added. Screenshots spread faster than wildfire, and what began as a simple share turned into the scandal of the season. For years, the complicated triangle of Kirk, Rasheeda, and Jasmine has kept fans glued to the screen, shaking their heads at betrayals and gasping at confessions. But this was different. Karlie wasn't just stirring the pot, she was throwing it across the kitchen floor. Her post didn't hint, it revealed. And the private truth she exposed left Rasheeda Frost stunned, humiliated, and furious all at once. Imagine scrolling through your phone and suddenly finding undeniable proof that your husband had gone further than rumors ever suggested, and that someone you once tolerated in the circle had been keeping quiet about it all this time. That's exactly the nightmare Rasheeda walked into when Karlie's revelation hit the blogs. And if you thought Rasheeda would take it quietly, think again. Witnesses claim she exploded in a way they hadn't seen since the early days of the show, her anger echoing through phone calls, texts, and confrontations that left everyone from Kendra Robinson to young Jock caught in the crossfire. Fans are shocked, emotions are running high, and the family is already showing cracks as sides are being chosen. This isn't just gossip. This is the kind of truth that shatters trust, destroys friendships, and forces everyone in Atlanta's tight circle to pick where they stand. And tonight, we're diving into exactly what Karlie revealed, how it rocked Jasmine and Kirk, and why Rasheeda may never forgive either of them. The storm had been brewing long before Karlie pressed that button and dropped her infamous post. But no one could have imagined how quickly it would explode into chaos. The truth, once hidden in whispers and side conversations, now sat wide open for the world to see, and the fallout was immediate. Jasmine Washington's name was plastered across blogs. Kirk Frost's reputation dragged through the mud. And Rasheeda Frost was suddenly the center of a storm that threatened to undo everything she had spent years building. People say Atlanta is a city that thrives on secrets, but what happens when those secrets are ripped out of the shadows and shoved into the spotlight with nowhere left to hide? That was the question on everyone's mind as fans refreshed their timelines, waiting for the next piece of tea to spill. The first ripples of the scandal started within minutes of Karlie's post. Those close to her claim she was sitting in a lounge, drink in hand, smirking as she hit share and leaned back to watch the fireworks. The screenshots she posted weren't vague or misleading. They were blunt, damning, and left little room for speculation. Messages between Kirk and Jasmine that hinted at more than casual exchanges. Confessions about private meets, and even references to things Rasheeda had long suspected but never proven. It was like reading a diary you were never meant to see, one fan wrote on Twitter. Her words echoing the disbelief sweeping through the fandom. Rasheeda, meanwhile, was blindsided. She had always kept a watchful eye, never forgetting Kirk's history or the way Jasmine once shattered their family's peace with the revelation of her son. But even then, Rasheeda had chosen restraint, choosing to stand tall rather than crumble under public judgment. This time though, restraint vanished. Her phone buzzed non-stop calls from friends, texts from family, even messages from producers urging her to respond before the narrative spiraled out of control. By the time she sat down with her head in her hands, tears stinging her eyes, the damage had already been done. "Karlie always been messy," Rasheeda muttered to a close confidant, voice trembling between anger and heartbreak. "But this, she crossed a line you don't come back from." The words spilled out as her anger grew sharper, turning into a heat that made her fists clench. It wasn't just Karlie's betrayal that cut deep, but the undeniable proof staring back at her. Every rumor she had tried to brush off, every accusation she had once defended Kirk against, was suddenly backed up by hard evidence and worse. It was Karlie who had delivered the blow. Meanwhile, Jasmine was caught in the eye of the storm, her phone lighting up with notifications she could barely process. Friends urged her to log off, to stay quiet, but she knew silence wouldn't protect her this time. The screenshots weren't just about Kirk. They painted Jasmine as someone complicit, someone who had kept secrets that could destroy a family. And while Jasmine had always defended herself as a woman who fell into a situation she never asked for, the public wasn't interested in sympathy. They wanted blood. Her name trended within hours, alongside words like homewrecker, scandal, and exposed. Kirk's reaction, in true Kirk fashion, was denial at first. He tried to play it off, claiming the screenshots were old, taken out of context, manipulated to create drama. But those closest to him knew the truth, ran deeper. "You can't lie your way out of this one," a friend allegedly told him during a tense phone call. "The receipts to clear. Brr. They got you this time." His silence and the hours that followed said more than any denial could. Kirk wasn't just embarrassed. He was cornered. Behind closed doors, arguments erupted. Rasheeda demanded answers, her voice sharp and unrelenting. "How many times do I have to live through this with you? How many times do you humiliate me in front of the world?" she shouted, pacing the room while Kirk tried to calm her down. "You think I'm stupid? You think I don't see what's right in front of me?" The tension was unbearable, the air thick with resentment. As Kirk struggled to piece together an explanation that could soothe her fury, but there were no words strong enough to erase the betrayal. As the drama unfolded privately, the public spectacle grew louder. Fans dissected every screenshot, zoomed in on dates and details, and debated the authenticity of Karlie's leak. Some applauded her for keeping it real and exposing the truth, while others condemned her as a snake who thrived on tearing down her friends for clout. "Karlie Red loves chaos," one fan wrote on Instagram. "But this time, she might have gone too far. This ain't tea, this is someone's marriage." And yet, Karlie showed no signs of regret. In fact, she doubled down. Hours after her initial post, she went live, addressing the backlash head-on. Sitting in her car with her signature attitude, she declared, "I didn't create this mess. I just showed y'all what was already there. Don't come for me because I told the truth. If the truth hurts, maybe that's because it was meant to." Her words fanned the flames even higher, daring anyone to challenge her. The fallout spread beyond the immediate circle. Young Jock, caught in the middle as both a friend and castmate, struggled to balance his loyalty. "Man, this ain't even funny no more," he admitted during a candid moment. "We family. We supposed to ride together. But when you airing each other's dirty laundry like this, where does it stop?" Kendra Robinson, ever the voice of reason, tried to calm tensions, urging Rasheeda not to let Karlie's mess dictate her next move. But Rasheeda's pain was raw, and her anger unstoppable. Fans were left divided. Some empathized with Rasheeda, applauding her strength for standing tall in the face of betrayal. Others pointed fingers at Jasmine, reigniting old debates about her role in the Frost family's turmoil. And a small but vocal group even defended Karlie, praising her for refusing to keep quiet when everyone else tiptoed around the truth. The drama consumed timelines, group chats, and even gossip blogs outside the love and hip-hop universe. This wasn't just a scandal. It was a cultural moment, the kind that made people stop and ask, did that really just happen? By the end of the night, the Frost household was a battlefield. Rasheeda's voice echoed through the walls, sharp with rage. Kirk sat in silence, his head low, knowing the weight of his choices had finally caught up to him. And somewhere across town, Karlie scrolled through her phone with a smirk, watching the chaos she had unleashed ripple through Atlanta like an unstoppable wave. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided, and everyone knew this was only the beginning. The morning after Karlie's bombshell post, Atlanta felt different. The air itself seemed heavier, charged with the electricity of scandal. Every corner of the city, from the studios to the salons, was buzzing with the same question. What would Rasheeda do now? Her silence overnight had only added fuel to the fire. People expected an explosion, and they weren't wrong. By the time the sun came up, Rasheeda was already preparing to confront the mess head-on, her fury building like a storm ready to break. She didn't wait for cameras, producers, or carefully staged scenes. She stormed into the Frost Bistro with the kind of energy that made staff members scatter to the side. "Where is he?" she snapped at an employee, her heels clicking like gunfire against the polished floor. Kirk was already there, sitting at a table with his head down, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. When he looked up and saw her, the calm mask slipped for just a second, replaced by the flicker of guilt. "So you just gone sit here like everything's normal?" Rasheeda's voice cut through the air like a blade. Kirk sighed, set his cup down, and tried to muster his defense. "Rasheeda, you know Karlie. She thrives off drama. You really gone let her get between us again?" But Rasheeda wasn't having it. She slammed her phone on the table, the screenshots glowing on the screen. "This isn't Karlie. This is you. These are your words, your lies, your sneaking around. Don't put this on her. Put this on yourself." The staff, pretending to busy themselves with work, couldn't help stealing glances. The energy in the room was tense, suffocating. Kirk leaned back in his chair, running a hand over his face. "It's old, Rash. It don't even matter no more. Why let Karlie drag it all up again? That was the wrong answer. It matters because you lied. Again, it matters because I'm out here defending you. Protecting our family, while you out here making me look stupid. Again, her voice cracked with the weight of betrayal. The pain she had carried for years, spilling out in raw, jagged pieces. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat in her apartment, staring at the same screenshots that had the entire city talking. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from friends, calls from producers, even a text from her own mother. What is this? Jasmine, you promised me it was over. Tears pricked her eyes as she scrolled through the chaos. She knew the truth, but the truth didn't matter anymore. In the public's eyes, she was the villain once again, dragged back into the spotlight as the woman who couldn't let go of Kirk. When her phone rang again, she didn't want to answer, but the caller ID read Karlie. Against her better judgment, she picked up. Why, Karlie, why would you do this to me? Jasmine's voice trembled, half broken, half furious. On the other end, Karlie was cool as ice. Don't put this on me, girl. You knew what you were doing. You knew it was only a matter of time before the truth came out. I just sped up the process. Jasmine's breath caught. You're supposed to be my friend. Karlie laughed, bitter and sharp. Friend. In this game, there are no friends. There's only the truth and who's brave enough to tell it. Guess what? That's me. By midday, the blogs had picked up every angle. Gossip sites posted side-by-side comparisons of Karlie's screenshots and Kirk's previous denials. Twitter was ablaze with hashtags, #FrostExposed, #Team RASHEEDA, #KARLIE, messy again. Fans were posting memes, dragging Kirk for his repeated betrayals, and debating whether Rasheeda should finally walk away. The narrative wasn't just a story anymore, it was a movement. Even Mona Scotchung couldn't resist stepping in. A leaked email suggested she was already on the phone with producers, rearranging shooting schedules to capture every second of the fallout. This is the content we live for, one insider whispered. But it's real too. You can't script pain like this. You can only capture it. Later that evening, Rasheeda called a private meeting at her home. Close friends and castmates gathered in the living room, the atmosphere thick with tension. Kendra Robinson sat quietly, watching the chaos with lawyerly precision. Young Jock leaned forward, shaking his head. Man, this gone too far. Karlie should have never aired y'all out like that. But Rasheeda wasn't letting Karlie take the blame this time. Karlie might be messy, but she ain't the one who betrayed me. That's Kirk. That's Jasmine. And I'm done protecting them. The words hit like thunder. Kirk shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his defenses crumbling. Rash, you can't just throw away everything we built. But her eyes, wet with unshed tears, told him this wasn't the same Rasheeda who forgave him before. This was a woman pushed to her limit. Watch me, she whispered, her voice low but deadly. Outside, fans gathered online like spectators at a boxing match, taking sides, predicting outcomes, and waiting for the next move. The Frost family was fractured, the cast was divided, and the city was alive with anticipation. Everyone knew one thing for certain. This was no longer about gossip. This was about survival, loyalty, and the crumbling of a family that had once seemed unshakable. And as Rasheeda closed the door on Kirk that night, the drama was only beginning to unfold. The fallout from Karlie Red's post didn't just stay within the Frost household. Within hours, the city itself felt like it had turned into a stage. Each corner buzzing with whispers, each phone call carrying the weight of scandal. By the second day, everyone from Atlanta's beauty shops to music studios had chosen sides, and the divide was messy. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided in a way that felt deeper than any drama they had faced before. At Frost Bistro, the once busy restaurant was strangely quiet. Regular customers avoided eye contact with Rasheeda, unsure of whether to offer sympathy or stay silent. Some staff claimed they overheard Rasheeda crying in her office the night before, while others swore they heard shouting matches that shook the walls. Rumors flew that she had thrown Kirk's belongings out into the street, though no one could confirm it. All anyone knew was that Rasheeda's patience had finally run dry. Kirk, meanwhile, was trying to hold on to his version of control. He moved carefully, aware that every word could be twisted, every action scrutinized. His friends urged him to lay low, but he couldn't escape the storm. Every time he stepped outside, cameras seemed to follow. Paparazzi caught him outside a barber shop, looking exhausted, his head low as fans heckled from across the street. How many times, Kirk? How many times do you gon' play her? One shouted, the video going viral within hours. But the biggest twist came when Jasmine decided she couldn't stay silent anymore. She scheduled her own Instagram Live, a move her friends begged her not to make. They already hate you, one warned. You go live, you gone, make it worse. But Jasmine was tired of being painted as the villain without defending herself. With shaky hands, she went live that evening, her face bare, her voice trembling. I didn't ask for this, she began, staring directly into the camera. I didn't ask for Karlie to post my business, and I didn't ask for Kirk to keep me tied to this drama, but I'm not the liar here. I'm not the one pretending everything's fine while living a double life. Y'all can hate me all you want, but at least I'm telling the truth. The comments flew fast, some supporting her, others tearing her apart. Homewreck, one wrote. Finally she's speaking, another chimed in. The numbers skyrocketed as more fans tuned in, desperate to hear what she would reveal. Halfway through the live, Jasmine dropped the line that set the internet on fire. Karlie didn't post the half of it. If y'all really knew the truth, you'd stop looking at me and start looking at Kirk. Gasps filled the comment section. People demanded receipts, begged for details, while others called her bluff. But Jasmine ended the live abruptly, leaving only questions behind. Within hours, blogs exploded again. Was Jasmine bluffing? Or was there more to the story than Karlie's screenshots had shown? Some speculated that there was a deeper connection, maybe even financial ties or hidden meetings that hadn't yet been exposed. Theories spun out of control, and fans were left on edge. Back at Rasheeda's house, the tension grew unbearable. She watched Jasmine's live with clenched fists, her chest tight with rage. She got the nerve to go online and act like she innocent. Rasheeda snapped, pacing the room as her close friends listened. Kendra Robinson, ever the calm presence, spoke gently. Rash, she's scared. That's why she's talking. Scared people talk too much. But Rasheeda shook her head, eyes blazing. No, she's trying to flip the script. She's trying to make me look like the fool again, and I won't let it happen. Kirk sat quietly, staring at the floor. He had no defense left, no words to ease the pain in his wife's eyes. The weight of his mistakes had finally trapped him in silence. Say something, Rasheeda screamed, her voice breaking. Anything, or is silence all you got left for me now? He looked up slowly, his face drawn, his eyes tired. I'm sorry, he whispered, but the words, once enough to keep her from walking away, fell flat. This time, they meant nothing. As the night dragged on, Karlie Red prepared her next move. For her, the scandal wasn't just personal, it was professional. She knew the cameras would want her version, and she was ready to deliver it. Sitting with her phone, she drafted another post, one that teased even more secrets. Y'all mad at me for telling the truth? Trust me, the story just started, she typed, hitting send with a satisfied smirk. The post sent shockwaves across the internet, promising that more chaos was on the way. By the third day, the scandal had turned into a war of narratives. Rasheeda was torn between her heartbreak and the pressure to respond publicly. Kirk tried to cling to denial, but the evidence was stacked against him. Jasmine dangled secrets like bait, refusing to give the full picture but hinting at enough to keep everyone talking. And Karlie. Karlie was the puppeteer, pulling strings, setting fires, and watching the world burn. The cast of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta found themselves dragged into the mess, too. Yandy Smith reached out privately to Rasheeda, offering words of encouragement. You're stronger than this, sis. Don't let them break you. K. Michelle, never one to stay quiet, posted a cryptic tweet that fans immediately linked to the drama. Some folks don't learn till they lose it all. The layers of speculation grew deeper, dragging more names into the chaos. Until the scandal wasn't just about Kirk, Rasheeda, Jasmine, and Karlie, was about the entire fabric of their world unraveling. Everywhere you turned, the story dominated. Radio shows debated whether Rasheeda should finally divorce Kirk. Bloggers speculated that Karlie had more receipts tucked away. Fans dissected Jasmine's every word, searching for hidden meaning. And through it all, Rasheeda stood in the center. Her life, her marriage, and her family pulled apart in front of millions. But the question on everyone's lips wasn't just what happened. It was what would happen next. Would Rasheeda finally walk away? Would Kirk confess everything? Would Jasmine reveal the final piece of the puzzle? And most importantly, what else was Karlie holding in her vault of secrets? This wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was a saga, a firestorm that showed no signs of burning out. And as fans leaned closer, holding their breath for the next revelation, one thing was clear. The private truth had been leaked, but the full story was still waiting to be told. The days that followed were a whirlwind of chaos, each hour bringing fresh twists that only deepened the fracture between Kirk, Rasheeda, Jasmine, and Karlie. Atlanta, a city already known for its buzzing nightlife and endless chatter, now seemed to revolve solely around the Frost scandal. Coffee shops played reruns of past Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta episodes on flat screens. Barbershops echoed with debates over who was at fault. And even Uber drivers weighed in as if they had front row seats to the drama. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided in ways that seemed almost impossible to repair. It was during this heated period that Rasheeda decided enough was enough. She had spent years patching up the cracks Kirk created, forgiving him for humiliations that played out, not just in private, but in front of millions. But Karlie's receipts bared with Jasmine's bold live stream lit a fire she could no longer ignore. On a humid Friday evening, she gathered a few of her closest allies at her home, determined to set the record straight. "I'm done being quiet," she told them, her voice raw, eyes rimmed with tears. "I'm done letting him make me look like a fool while the world laughs. If Jasmine wanna talk, if Karlie wanna post, fine. But I'm about to let everybody know exactly where I stand." Among the group was young Jock, looking uneasy as he shifted in his chair. "Look, Rash," he began carefully. "I get it. You hurt. Anybody would be. But don't let Karlie drag you into her circus. You know she thrives off this. She'll milk it till the cameras stop rolling." But Rasheeda shook her head. "This ain't about Karlie no more. This about me, my family, and the man who keeps breaking me." Just then, Kirk walked into the room, invited only because Rasheeda insisted the confrontation happened face to face. The tension thickened instantly. Jock leaned back, muttering "Aw, hell," under his breath. Kirk looked at Rasheeda, his eyes heavy, his shoulders sagging with the weight of guilt. "Rash, can we talk without everybody else here?" he asked, almost pleading. But Rasheeda refused. "No. Because every time it's just me and you twist it, you water it down, you make me feel crazy. Tonight, you gon' answer in front of everybody. No more hiding." The room went silent as Rasheeda pulled out her phone and read aloud from the screenshots Karlie had posted. Each line of text between Kirk and Jasmine felt like a dagger. "Meet me where we said. I can't stay long. She watching. Wish things were different." Gasps filled the room, heads shaking in disbelief. Kirk tried to defend himself, insisting the texts were old, that Karlie was manipulating the narrative, but Rasheeda wasn't buying it. "You said those words, Kirk. Whether it was last year or last night, you said them. And every word proves what I've been feeling all along. You never stopped." Jock tried to intervene, his voice calm but firm. "Brr, you gotta own up. This ain't even about Karlie anymore. It's about your wife, your family, your kids. Stop dodging it." Kirk ran his hands over his face, groaning. "I messed up, okay, I messed up. But Karlie's making it worse than it really is." Rasheeda's laugh was bitter, hollow. "Worse than it is? Do you hear yourself? You think there's a version of this where you don't look guilty?" The argument spiraled, voices overlapping, accusations flying, until Kendra Robinson finally spoke up. "Look, y'all are talking in circles. The truth is simple. Karlie lit the match, but Kirk poured the gasoline. And Jasmine, she's standing there with the lighter fluid. Y'all all guilty in your own way. But the only person who has the right to decide what happens next is Rasheeda. So Kirk, stop talking. Jasmine, stop hinting. Karlie, stop posting. Let this woman breathe and decide what's best for her." It was the kind of raw, unfiltered moment that reality producers dream about. And, though no cameras were rolling, word of the confrontation leaked almost instantly. Someone close to the group shared details with a popular blog, and within hours the internet was ablaze again. Headlines screamed, "Rasheeda confronts Kirk. Friends take sides. Explosive meeting ends in tears. Kendra lays down the law in Frost Showdown." While the world feasted on second-hand accounts, the private war raged on. Rasheeda locked herself in her bedroom, refusing to speak further, leaving Kirk pacing the living room like a ghost. Outside, Karlie responded to the headlines with a smug Instagram caption. "Told y'all, the truth always comes out. Don't shoot the messenger." Fans flooded her comments with fire emojis, accusations, and even praise. Some called her brave, others called her a snake. But one thing was undeniable. Karlie had cemented herself as the center of attention once again. Meanwhile, Jasmine watched the chaos unfold from her apartment. The weight of her choices pressed down harder than ever. Every time she checked her phone, new comments appeared, dragging her name through the mud. But she also noticed something else: messages of support. A small but vocal group of fans began defending her, arguing that Kirk was the one to blame and that she was just another victim in his web of lies. The support gave her just enough confidence to consider dropping the rest of the story. Late one night, she sat with a friend, scrolling through her phone. "If I release everything," she whispered, "it'll ruin him. Completely." Her friend shook her head. "Girl, if you do that, it won't just ruin him. It'll ruin you too. Think about it. You'll never be able to walk down the street without people pointing, saying that's the girl who blew up the Frosts. Jasmine bit her lip, torn between vindication and self-preservation. But deep down, she knew the truth wouldn't stay buried much longer. And as all this unfolded, Rasheeda made a decision of her own. She reached out privately to Mona. If the world was going to tear her marriage apart, she wanted to control the narrative. She wanted cameras rolling, not for clout, but for survival. If I'm gonna bleed, she told Mona over the phone, then everybody gone, see the wound. I ain't covering for him no more. The call changed everything. Mona, sensing the ratings gold, immediately reshuffled production schedules, ensuring that every tear, every fight, and every revelation would be captured on film. What had started as Karlie's messy post was now morphing into the centerpiece of an entire season, a saga that promised to be the most explosive in love and hip-hop Atlanta history. By the end of that week, the players were locked in position. Rasheeda, determined to reclaim her power. Kirk, desperate to save face but too guilty to stand tall. Jasmine, weighing whether to drop the ultimate bombshell. And Karlie, smirking in the shadows, knowing she had set the stage for chaos that would live forever in reality TV legend. And yet, as the lights dimmed in the Frost household that night, one truth hung in the air like smoke after a fire. The story wasn't over. It was only growing bigger, louder, and more dangerous. Every word, every look, every leak was building toward something that no one, least of all Rasheeda, could have predicted. By the following week, the scandal had swallowed every ounce of normalcy in the Frost household. The tension was no longer hidden behind closed doors. It seeped into every interaction, every room, every breath. Even the children noticed. Their once lively home weighed down by the unspoken reality that their parents were unraveling in front of the entire world. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided beyond repair. The first big confrontation filmed for the show happened at Frost Bistro, the very spot that had once been a symbol of Kirk and Rasheeda's hard work together. Now it served as the stage for one of their most explosive public fights yet. Producers set up discreetly in the corner while cast members trickled in, trying to act casual, though everyone knew why they were there. Karlie arrived first, strutting in with her usual confidence, wearing sunglasses that did little to hide the smirk on her face. Whispers followed her as she sat at the bar, ordering a drink as though she hadn't lit the match that burned the Frost marriage to the ground. Not long after, Jasmine walked in, her posture stiff, her eyes darting around nervously. The room went cold. When Rasheeda entered minutes later, all eyes shifted to her, waiting for the inevitable explosion. You really had the nerve to show up here. Rasheeda's voice cracked the silence like thunder as she locked eyes with Jasmine. After everything you said, everything you let Karlie throw out there, you gone sit here in my face like you innocent. Jasmine swallowed hard, clutching her purse tighter. I didn't ask Karlie to post that. She went behind my back too. Karlie raised her glass, smirking. Correction, sweetie. I didn't go behind your back. I went straight to the truth. Don't get mad at me 'cause I had the receipts. The room erupted in gasps, the cast shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Rasheeda's anger surged, her body trembling as she pointed at Karlie. You call yourself a friend. Friends don't drag each other like this for likes and shares. You knew what that would do to me. You knew. Her voice cracked with raw hurt. Karlie shrugged, unapologetic. Sometimes the truth gotta hurt before it sets you free. Before Rasheeda could fire back, Kirk finally walked in, his expression heavy, his presence sucking the air out of the room. The tension hit a boiling point. So this is what y'all wanted, he said, looking around the room. To watch my family get torn apart for your entertainment? No, Rasheeda snapped. This is what you wanted when you lied, when you snuck around, when you thought you could play me for a fool again. Don't put this on us. Don't you dare. Her voice carried the weight of years of pain, years of betrayal, and for the first time, even Kirk couldn't meet her eyes. Jasmine shifted uncomfortably, her voice soft but firm. Rasheeda, I never wanted to hurt you. I swear. But you keep blaming me when it was always him pulling the strings. I didn't start this, he did. Rasheeda turned on her with fire in her eyes. Don't act like you didn't know what you were doing. You knew he was married. You knew what you were stepping into. Don't play the victim now. The room was thick with tension, castmates whispering on the sidelines, unsure whether to step in or stay out of the storm. Young Jock finally stood up, holding his hands out. Man, y'all gotta chill. This is going too far. We all family here, but right now, it looked like y'all ready to tear each other apart. But the pleas for calm went unheard. Rasheeda turned back to Kirk, her voice trembling. I gave you every chance, every ounce of forgiveness I had. I defended you when the world said I shouldn't. And you turned around and humiliated me again. Tell me, why should I keep standing beside you? Kirk opened his mouth, but no words came out. His silence was louder than any confession, and Rasheeda's tears slipped down her cheeks. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the raw pain etched into her face. Karlie, never one to miss a moment, leaned forward with a sly smile. Maybe it's time you finally accept what everybody else already sees. He ain't never gone change. The words cut through Rasheeda like glass. The room fell into a stunned hush as she stared at Kirk, her chest heaving with anger and heartbreak. You know what, Karlie, she said, her voice steady despite the tears. For once you're right, he won't change. And I'm done waiting for him too. Gasps filled the room. Kirk looked at her in disbelief. Rash, don't say that. Don't throw us away. But Rasheeda shook her head, standing tall. You threw us away the moment you chose her. The moment you chose lies. I'm not saving you this time. Jasmine's face crumpled, guilt and fear colliding as she realized the gravity of what was happening. For the first time, she wasn't just the other woman, she was the spark that might finally end a marriage that had survived so many storms. The night ended with Rasheeda storming out, her heels clicking like gunshots against the floor. Kirk followed, begging for a chance to explain, but she didn't look back. Karlie sipped her drink with a satisfied smirk. Knowing she had gotten exactly what she wanted, chaos, drama, and a moment that would go down in love and hip-hop history. And yet, even as the dust settled, whispers spread that Jasmine still hadn't revealed everything. Fans speculated about a bigger secret, something Karlie had hinted at but never shown. If that bombshell ever dropped, it wouldn't just end a marriage, it could destroy the entire Frost brand forever. The storm refused to settle. In fact, the more Rasheeda tried to regain control of her life, the more twists appeared to pull her deeper into the chaos. Atlanta had become one giant rumor mill. Every radio DJ, every gossip blog, every neighborhood barbershop had their own version of the story. Was Rasheeda really done with Kirk? Was Jasmine holding back a bigger secret? And why did Karlie seem so calm, as if she knew the next shoe was about to drop? Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided as the days bled into nights of arguments, whispers, and social media explosions. 2 nights after the confrontation at Frost Bistro, Rasheeda sat alone in her bedroom, scrolling through her phone. Tears blurred her vision as she read the endless comments online. Leave him, sis. You deserve better. Rasheeda, been too strong for too long. She wanted to shut it all out, but the voices followed her everywhere. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't fans or producers, but a private number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Rasheeda, the voice said softly. It was Jasmine. The silence on the line stretched heavy before Jasmine continued. I need to tell you something before Karlie does. Rasheeda froze, her heart pounding in her chest. What could you possibly say to me that would make this any better? She snapped. Jasmine's voice shook. It's not about making it better. It's about the fact that Karlie only gave y'all half the truth. There's more, and if she leaks it, it's gonna destroy everything, not just your marriage. Kirk's been hiding something bigger than us. The words made Rasheeda's stomach drop. She gripped the phone tighter, her anger momentarily replaced by a wave of dread. What are you talking about? But Jasmine refused to say more. Just, be ready. She got more receipts. And when she drops them, it won't just be me in the middle, it'll be all of y'all. Then the line went dead. The next morning, Karlie was at it again. She posted a cryptic Instagram story, a blurred photo of what looked like documents, with the caption, y'all think the first round was bad. Wait till you see the rest. Hashtag the truth hurts. Fans went wild. Theories flew in every direction, bank records, secret properties, even rumors about another child Kirk might be hiding. Twitter threads grew longer by the hour, dissecting every clue, every past scandal, and piecing together conspiracies that kept the world glued to their screens. At the same time, Kirk was unraveling. Friends said he barely slept, his phone glued to his hand as he tried to anticipate Karlie's next move. One night, in a moment of desperation, he showed up at Karlie's house unannounced. Cameras weren't there, but a neighbor caught it on video. Kirk, pounding on her door, shouting, "Stop this, you gon' ruin me." Karlie eventually opened the door, standing tall, unfazed. Ruin you? You ruined yourself. I'm just showing people what you've been trying to hide. She slammed the door in his face, the video going viral within hours. Meanwhile, Rasheeda's pain transformed into resolve. She agreed to film a sit-down interview, not with producers pulling strings, but with her own narrative in mind. Sitting in her boutique, she spoke candidly to the cameras. For years, I've stood by Kirk, through rumors, through betrayals, through I thought loyalty meant sticking it out no matter what. But loyalty don't mean losing yourself. And that's what I've been doing, losing myself while trying to save a man who don't want to be saved. Her voice cracked, but her eyes burned with determination. This time, I'm putting me first. The clip aired online and instantly trended. Fans rallied behind her, flooding her with messages of support. Hashtags like #StandWith RASHEEDA and #QueenFrost began trending, shifting the narrative in her favor. For once, she wasn't the woman covering for Kirkshay, was the woman taking her power back. Jasmine, however, struggled with the backlash. Her attempt at honesty only painted her deeper into the corner. Paparazzi caught her crying outside a salon, her face hidden behind oversized sunglasses. Blogs tore her apart, labeling her the eternal villain. And yet, whispers persisted. If Karlie's documents were real, Jasmine wasn't lying. There was a bigger secret still hidden in Kirk's closet. The cast began to fracture under the weight of the drama. Young Jock refused to pick sides, but his fiancée Kendra leaned toward Rasheeda, urging her to protect herself legally. K. Michelle tweeted another sharp comment, "The truth always comes out. Y'all just ain't ready for this one." Even Mendices and Yandi, though not directly involved, weighed in during an Instagram live, shaking their heads at the mess. And then came the twist that nobody saw coming. Late one Friday night, Karlie finally dropped what she had been holding back. A set of receipts that allegedly showed Kirk funneling money into an account tied directly to Jasmine. The documents suggested not just secret meetings, but financial support gifts, rent payments, even large transfers that hinted at a hidden lifestyle. Fans lost their minds. Headlines screamed, "Kirk Frost's secret bank account exposed." Was Jasmine living off Kirk's money all along? Rasheeda blindsided again. The leak hit Rasheeda like a wrecking ball. She sat in her living room, staring at the documents plastered across every blog. Her body shook as she whispered, all this time, and he was still lying." Her tears fell freely, her heartbreak complete. Across town, Kirk slumped in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel, knowing there was no way out this time. Jasmine, overwhelmed, turned her phone off completely, hiding from the world. And Karlie, she celebrated quietly, posting one final line to her Instagram, "The truth don't need permission." But if fans thought this was the end, they were wrong, because whispers were already spreading that Karlie hadn't shown everything, that there was still one more secret, darker and more destructive than money or betrayal, waiting to be unleashed. And as Atlanta braced for the fallout, the Frost saga teetered on the edge of total collapse. By the weekend, Atlanta was vibrating with tension. What Karlie had revealed about Kirk's secret financial support of Jasmine was devastating enough. But the whispers of more to come created a frenzy. It wasn't just fans or blogs anymore. Mainstream outlets began circling the scandal, eager to capitalize on the drama that had spiraled far beyond reality television. The Frost family's private pain had become a public obsession, and every corner of the city felt like a stage. Rasheeda spent most of that weekend in isolation. Her boutique remained closed, Frost Bistro operated under staff only, and her once vibrant Instagram feed went silent. Friends said she was shutting herself in her room, refusing to eat, scrolling endlessly through the avalanche of headlines. When her mother tried to comfort her, Rasheeda snapped, "How do you comfort someone who's been humiliated in front of the world?" The weight of years of betrayal pressed down heavier now that she realized Karlie had only pulled back the curtain. Kirk had built the show himself. Meanwhile, Kirk wandered aimlessly between hotels and friends' couches. Paparazzi caught him outside a studio looking disheveled, muttering no comment when pressed about the leaked bank account. His image, once that of a flawed but persistent hustler, had collapsed completely. The receipts painted him as deceitful, reckless, and manipulative. Every denial he'd ever given Rasheeda now looked like a performance, and the fans weren't buying it anymore. Jasmine found herself drowning under the noise. The leaked documents didn't just make Kirk look guilty, they dragged her deeper into villain territory. So she'd been living off his money this whole time. One fan tweeted, "Whole scammer vibes." But what the blogs didn't see was the turmoil inside Jasmine's apartment. She was frantic, pacing, chain-smoking, panicked at the thought of what Karlie might drop next. If she shows that one thing, Jasmine muttered to herself, hands trembling, "It's over." For all of us, producers, sensing they had a season-defining storyline, arranged for an emergency cast gathering to air it all out. The location was a neutral loft in downtown Atlanta, sleek but dimly lit, the perfect backdrop for explosive confrontation. Cameras were everywhere, tucked into corners, hovering over couches. The cast filed in one by one, nervous laughter breaking the silence. Young Jock clapped his hands once, trying to lighten the mood. All right, y'all, let's not kill each other today. But no one smiled. When Rasheeda entered, the room shifted. She wore black from head to toe, her face set in stone. She didn't even glance at Kirk, who sat on the far side of the couch looking hollow. Karlie, of course, was perched in the center like a queen on her throne, sipping water with an infuriating smirk. Jasmine lingered by the doorway, unsure whether to sit or run. Let's get to it, Rasheeda said coldly, her voice steady but filled with venom. Karlie, you want to explain why you think it's your business to destroy mine? Karlie crossed her legs, leaning forward. Destroy? Baby, I didn't destroy anything. I exposed what was already broken. Don't blame me for Kirk's lies. Don't act like you did this for me, Rasheeda snapped. You did this for clout, for cameras, for the spotlight. You don't care about the truth, you care about the drama. The tension sparked, the cast shifting uncomfortably. Kendra Robinson finally spoke, her tone sharp. Karlie, receipts or not, you crossed the line. There's a difference between being honest and being messy, and you've been messy. But Karlie didn't flinch. Messy keeps it real. Y'all been walking around like Kirk changed, like Jasmine was out the picture, when the truth was sitting in my phone this whole time. I gave the fans what they deserved. If you mad at the wrong person. All eyes turned to Kirk then, the weight of the room pressing down on him. He rubbed his hands over his face, sighing heavily. Look, I ain't gon' lie. I messed up bad. But Karlie ain't telling y'all the whole story either. She twisting it, making it worse than it is. Rasheeda's voice cracked with fury. Worse than it is? Kirk, she showed the money, the texts, the receipts. How much worse can it be? The room buzzed, whispers darting back and forth, until Jasmine finally spoke up, her voice shaky. There is more. She ain't lying about that, but it ain't just on me. If Karlie drops the last thing she got, it's not just Kirk that'll burn, it's me too. Gasps filled the room. Jock leaned forward, eyes wide. Hold up. Y'all saying there's another bomb waiting to drop? Karlie smiled slyly, her silence confirming everything. Rasheeda's chest heaved, rage and fear colliding in her eyes. What else, Karlie? What else you hiding? But Karlie didn't answer. She leaned back, her smirk widening, letting the silence taunt everyone. Timing is everything, she finally whispered. The cast erupted, voices overlapping, panic rising. K. Michelle slammed her hand on the table. See, this why nobody trusts you, Karlie. You love chaos. You sit on secrets until it benefits you, and you don't care who gets destroyed in the process. Yet deep down, everyone knew Karlie wasn't bluffing. She had something left, something darker than bank accounts and text messages, and the fear in Jasmine's eyes confirmed it. As the cameras zoomed in, the scene ended with Rasheeda storming out once again, shouting over her shoulder, "When it comes out, don't nobody call me. I'm done. But the truth was, she wasn't done, not by a long shot. The war was only escalating, and when Karlie finally revealed her last card, it wouldn't just shatter Rasheeda and Kirk. It threatened to tear apart the entire Atlanta circle, leaving scars that no one could heal. The tension in Atlanta was no longer confined to late-night lives and whispered text messages. It had seeped into every conversation, every headline, every social media feed. The city felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for Karlie Redd's final move. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided as speculation grew into hysteria. What could be worse than the screenshots and the bank transfers? What secret was Karlie sitting on that made even Jasmine tremble? Rasheeda tried to carry on, but her pain was written across her face. Cameras followed her into her boutique, where she mechanically arranged clothes on racks, pretending to work while her eyes betrayed exhaustion. In one confessional clip, she finally broke down. I've been through hell with this man. I let the world laugh at me, call me weak, say I'm stupid, all because I believed in family. But if Karlie got one more bomb to drop, that's it. I can't survive another one. Meanwhile, Kirk had gone underground. Friends said he wasn't answering calls, wasn't showing up at the studio, wasn't even checking on Frost Bistro. He's hiding, one insider told a blog. Man knows when Karlie let that last one out, his whole legacy done. Photos surfaced of him sitting alone in his car outside a hotel, staring blankly out the window, his shoulders slumped like a man awaiting his own execution. Jasmine's world was equally chaotic. She stayed inside for days, curtains drawn, phone buzzing non-stop. Messages poured in from strangers calling her every name under the sun, while a small group begged her to spill the truth before Karlie did. If you tell it first, you control the story, one DM read. But Jasmine couldn't bring herself to do it. She paced her apartment, muttering to herself, if she shows that file, it's over for me. Nobody will forgive me. Not Rasheeda, not Kirk, not the fans. Nobody. The producers, hungry for the climax, arranged another sit-down. This time, the setup was darker, almost cinematic. A long table, cast members seated across from one another, cameras capturing every flicker of emotion. Rasheeda came dressed in all white, a contrast to the heaviness of her mood. Kirk sat beside her, trying to act composed but visibly unraveling. Jasmine entered cautiously, her steps hesitant, while Karlie waltzed in last, glowing with the confidence of someone holding all the cards. The room was silent until Rasheeda broke it. Karlie, enough games. You said there's more. Say it now. Stop dangling it over us like a prize. Karlie folded her arms, smirking. You sure you're ready? 'Cause once it's out, ain't no going back. Tell it, Rasheeda snapped. I've already lost everything. What else is there to take? The tension was unbearable. The cameras zoomed in as Karlie slowly reached into her purse and pulled out a slim folder. She laid it on the table with a dramatic flourish. This right here. This ain't just about money or texts. This is about commitments Kirk made in private. Commitments that changed the whole story. Gasps rippled through the cast. Kirk's face went pale. Don't do this, Karlie, he muttered, his voice low, desperate. But Karlie leaned back in her chair, savoring the moment. Why not? The fans deserve to know. Rasheeda deserves to know. Jasmine deserves to stop living in fear. The truth don't belong to you anymore. Kirk, it belongs to everybody. Jasmine shook her head frantically, tears pooling in her eyes. Karlie, please, don't. If you put that out there, you'll ruin me too. Girl, you already ruined. Karlie shot back. At least this way, you stop pretending. The cast erupted, voices overlapping. Young Jock stood up, waving his arms. Joe. Hold up. Karlie, what the hell is in that folder? But Karlie didn't open it. She tapped it with her manicured nails, her smile maddeningly calm. All in good time. The producers ended the shoot there, cutting on a cliffhanger that left everyone screaming. As the cast stormed out, Rasheeda pushed past Kirk, tears streaming down her face. If there's something in there that you ain't told me, Kirk, it's over. For real this time. Her voice cracked, but her resolve was unshakable. That night, Karlie posted a single teaser on Instagram, a picture of the folder. The caption reading, "Final round coming soon. Y'all ain't ready. #private truth." The internet melted down. Theories exploded. Was it proof of a secret marriage? Another child? Contracts, tying Jasmine and Kirk in ways that went beyond love. Atlanta had never seen scandal like this. The Frost saga was no longer just a storyline, it was a cultural earthquake. And as the city braced itself, one truth was undeniable. When Karlie finally opened that folder, it wouldn't just be the end of a marriage. It would be the end of trust, the end of loyalty, and the beginning of a war no one was prepared to fight. The folder sat at the center of every conversation in Atlanta, like a loaded gun on the table, unopened, but heavy with threat. Karlie's cryptic Instagram post had sent the city spiraling into chaos, and the anticipation of what she held inside pushed fans, castmates, and even industry insiders into a frenzy. Everyone had a theory, and no theory seemed too wild. Was Kirk secretly married to Jasmine? Had he fathered another child? Or was it something even darker? Something that tied together years of whispers and suspicions. Rasheeda couldn't sleep. She lay awake night after night, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with questions. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that folder sitting on the table, Karlie's smirk burning in her memory. What could he be hiding? She whispered to herself. After all this, what's left to find out? The uncertainty gnawed at her more than the betrayal itself. She had survived Kirk's cheating, survived Jasmine's baby scandal, survived humiliation after humiliation, but this felt different. This wasn't a rumor she could dismiss or a blog headline she could ignore. This was proof, and proof meant the end. Kirk, on the other hand, moved like a man on borrowed time. He called Karlie repeatedly, begging her not to reveal what was inside. Karlie, listen, you don't understand what you're about to do. This ain't just about MIT's bigger than me. You gone hurt people who ain't got nothing to do with this. But Karlie, true to form, brushed him off. Bigger than you, baby. Everything's about you. And if you didn't want it exposed, you shouldn't have done it. She hung up on him, leaving him pacing in his car, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Meanwhile, Jasmine was unraveling. Every blog, every gossip page, every DM she received reminded her that her name was tied to the scandal, whether she liked it or not. She gone ruin me, she whispered to a friend over FaceTime, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Karlie gone put it all out there, and then I'm done. I'll never get my life back. Her friend urged her to come clean first, to beat Karlie to the punch. But Jasmine shook her head violently. You don't understand. If I say it, I'm the villain again. If Karlie says it, at least I can act like I was a victim too. The producer saw the tension and knew it was gold. Mona Scott-Young herself stepped in, scheduling a sit-down reunion-style taping, hyping it as the most explosive reveal in love and hip-hop history. Invitations went out to the entire cast, and within hours, the internet was buzzing with the news. Hashtags like #KARLiesFolder, #FrostExposed, and #FinalTruth trended worldwide. Fans booked watch parties, gossip blogs, wrote countdowns, and even celebrities outside the franchise tweeted their curiosity. It wasn't just a reality TV moment anymore, it was an event. The night of the taping arrived. The studio lights glared hot, the set arranged like a tribunal. Cast members seated in a semicircle with Rasheeda and Kirk at the center. Rasheeda wore a crimson dress, her face stoic but her eyes blazing. Kirk looked worn down, his suit wrinkled, his jaw tight with fear. Jasmine sat to the side, visibly shaking, while Karlie strutted in last, carrying the infamous folder in her hand like a crown jewel. The crowd of producers, assistants, and off-camera staff buzzed with anticipation. Let's get right into it, Mona began, her voice steady but charged. Karlie, the world's been waiting. What's in the folder? Karlie tapped the folder against her thigh, milking the moment. Everybody think they know Kirk's truth, but y'all only seen the surface. What I got in here? It's the core. It's the part he's been hiding from Rasheeda, from Jasmine, from the fans, from everybody. The room held its breath as Karlie slowly opened the folder and pulled out a stack of papers. She laid them on the table, her manicured finger sliding across the top page. These are legal documents, contracts, agreements, proof that Kirk wasn't just sneaking around with Jasmine, he was building a life with her, a business life. Gasps filled the room. Rasheeda leaned forward, eyes narrowing. What you mean? A business life? Karlie smirked. Bank records show transfers. Sure, but these show he put her name on properties, on investments, on deals he told you were strictly his. Jasmine wasn't just a side piece. She was a partner. He was setting her up for the future, while leaving you in the dark. The room erupted. Partner, fine, let him have her, but he not gone take what I built. He not gone strip me of what's mine. The lawyer nodded, impressed by her resolve. Then we fight, he said, and we win. The turning point came when Rasheeda finally agreed to film again. Cameras followed her as she returned to Frost Bistro, not with Kirk, but alone, her chin lifted high. Standing in the center of the restaurant, she told the staff, this place was built on lies. But it's not gone, fall with him. This is mine now. Mine. The moment aired weeks later, and fans erupted with pride. Queen energy, one tweeted, she rising from the ashes. Kirk, meanwhile, spiraled. Paparazzi caught him stumbling out of a club, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes glassy. Blogs labeled him a man broken by his own lies, and memes mocked his downfall. The more he tried to defend himself, the more the fans turned against him. You wrote her into your will, Kirk. One viral post read, accompanied by a laughing emoji. That's wild. Jasmine faced her own reckoning when producers finally convinced her to film a confessional. Sitting in a chair, makeup light, her face bare, she whispered, I didn't mean to destroy them. I thought he loved me. He told me he wanted to make me legit, that one day it would all make sense. But now I see I was just a pawn in his game. And Karlie, she's not exposing him to save anybody. She's doing it because she loves chaos. And now we all burning for it. The clip aired, and for the first time, fans began to soften toward Jasmine. Some sympathized, saying she had been manipulated, tricked into believing she was part of something real. Others still hated her, but admitted Kirk's betrayal was the bigger sin. The narrative began to shift, and Jasmine, once the ultimate villain, became a tragic figure caught in Karlie's storm. As the weeks passed, the whispers about Karlie's final secrets grew louder. Blogs hinted at even darker truth ties between Kirk's finances and other women. Secret children hidden in different states, even allegations of fraud tied to the businesses he had with Jasmine. Fans begged for the final reveal, desperate for closure. But Karlie stayed quiet, milking the suspense, letting the world stew in anticipation. The Frost saga had become something bigger than reality TV. It was a story of betrayal, survival, and the destructive power of truth. Rasheeda rose from the wreckage, determined to protect her empire. Kirk stumbled into disgrace, his lies catching up with him at last. Jasmine teetered between villain and victim, her reputation shredded, but her humanity finally shining through. And Karlie. Karlie cemented herself as both hero and villain, the woman who spoke the truth, but at a cost no one could have predicted. And still, the folder wasn't empty. Still, the final pages remained hidden. Still, Atlanta braced for the day Karlie would open it one last time and unleash the secret that could end everything. The city could not shake it. Even weeks after Karlie had cracked open the folder, people were still dissecting every frame of the footage, every screenshot, every trembling word. Rasheeda had shouted at Kirk. The Frost scandal was no longer just entertainment, it was history in motion. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided as speculation lingered like smoke after a fire. Yet the biggest question remained. What was on the final pages of Karlie's folder, and when would she drop it? Rasheeda had begun to rebuild herself, but the pain was raw. She filmed a solo confessional in her boutique, her voice low and steady. When I said I was done, I meant it. I can't cry forever. I got a business. I got kids. I got me. And if Kirk thought he could break me, he got another thing coming. The fans rallied behind her instantly. Hashtags like hashtag RASHEEDA strong and hashtag new beginnings trended. And for the first time in weeks, her comments section filled with encouragement instead of pity. But even as she tried to move forward, the specter of the folder loomed. What if Karlie revealed something that pulled her right back into the fire? Kirk's decline was more visible by the day. Paparazzi caught him wandering outside a strip club at 3 a.m., looking dazed, clutching a bottle in one hand and his phone in the other. The photos went viral, blogs labeling him a fallen king who had destroyed his own empire. On one blog's podcast, a commentator said it bluntly. Kirk didn't just cheat on his wife, he tried to erase her, and that's unforgivable. Even his attempts to do damage control fell flat. In a half-hearted interview with a local radio station, he mumbled excuses about bad decisions and being misled. But the hosts cut him off. Nah man, one said. We seen the receipts. You signed her name. Ain't no excuse for that. Jasmine, meanwhile, remained in hiding, but whispers about her role kept circulating. A blog leaked audio of a phone call allegedly between her and Karlie, where Jasmine begged, "Please don't show them the last part. Please." Karlie's voice responded coolly. "You should have thought of that before you signed your name, sis." The leak set the internet on fire. What could Jasmine be so desperate to hide? Theories ran wild. Another secret child, offshore accounts. Even rumors that Jasmine had been promised marriage if Rasheeda ever left. Fans dissected every second of the audio, their appetite for scandal only growing. Then came the night that broke the internet. Karlie announced on Instagram Live that she was done holding back and that the final pages of the folder would be revealed during a special cast dinner being filmed that week. Y'all been begging, crying, DMing me non-stop. Well, it's time. The truth don't stay buried forever. And baby, this one's gonna end everything. The announcement sent shockwaves. Blogs called it the most anticipated episode in love and hip-hop history, and fans cleared their schedules to be ready when it aired. The dinner itself was tense before it even began. The producers set the stage in a lavish Atlanta restaurant, chandeliers casting dramatic shadows, cameras hidden in every corner. The cast arrived one by one, dressed to the nines but jittery with anticipation. Rasheeda entered in a sleek black gown, her face unreadable. Kirk trailed behind her, visibly uncomfortable. Jasmine showed up last, escorted by a friend, her hands trembling as she clutched her purse. And then Karlie walked in, the folder tucked under her arm like a trophy. The air shifted instantly. The dinner began quietly, small talk forced, glasses clinking nervously, but everyone knew why they were there. Finally, Mona gave the signal, and Karlie placed the folder on the table with deliberate care. "We all know why we here," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "I showed y'all the money. I showed y'all the contracts. But this is the heart of it all. The promise Kirk made to Jasmine behind closed doors." Rasheeda's eyes narrowed, her body stiffening. "What promise?" she demanded. Karlie slid a document across the table, a draft marriage license application, signed by Kirk, dated just 2 years ago. The room erupted. Gasps, shouts, chairs scraping against the floor. Rasheeda's hand flew to her mouth as tears welled up. Kirk's face went pale, his hands trembling as he stammered. "It was never filed. It was a mistake." But the damage was done. The paper, stamped and dated, was undeniable proof that he had at least intended to make Jasmine more than a side relationship. Jasmine broke down instantly, sobbing uncontrollably. "He told me he was leaving her. He told me we'd be official. He told me everything I wanted to hear. And I believed him." Her voice cracked as she buried her face in her hands, the weight of humiliation crashing down. Rasheeda stood slowly, her chair screeching across the floor. Her body shook with rage, her voice trembling but powerful. You wanted to erase me. After everything I gave you, years, children, businesses, you wanted to erase me. I'm not your wife. I'm your damn doormat, right? Well, not anymore. She turned to Jasmine, her voice softer but cutting. And you knew he was mine. You knew, but you wanted the life I built. Well, congratulations. You can have him. Both of y'all can drown in the lies you made together. Kirk tried to reach for her, but Rasheeda pushed him back, her tears flowing freely now. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. She stormed out of the restaurant, the cameras following her into the parking lot as she collapsed into her car, sobbing into her hands. The world watched, their hearts breaking and their jaws dropping all at once. Inside, chaos reigned. Kirk begged for understanding, his voice frantic. It was never real. I never meant to go through with it. But nobody believed him. Michelle slammed her glass down, her voice sharp. You ain't nothing but a fraud, Kirk. A fraud who destroyed the only woman who ever had your back. Jock shook his head in disbelief. Man, you took it too far. Way too far. Karlie, sipping her wine, delivered the final blow. The truth hurts, don't it? But now it's out. No more hiding. No more pretending. She gathered her folder, stood up, and walked out, leaving the wreckage behind her like a bomb had gone off. The fallout was immediate. Clips of the dinner leaked online within hours, and the internet exploded. Kirk tried to marry Jasmine. One fan wrote, "This ain't even reality TV anymore, this a documentary on betrayal." Memes flooded Twitter, TikTok compilations went viral, and the scandal even made mainstream news outlets. The Frost saga wasn't just entertainment, it was cultural history. For Rasheeda, the days that followed were brutal but transformative. She filed papers, began the process of separating her finances, and leaned into her businesses with renewed focus. If he wanted to build with her, fine. Into chaos. Cast members shouted over each other. Fans in the live audience screamed, and Rasheeda's face turned ghostly pale. She snatched one of the papers from the table, scanning it with trembling hands. There it was in black and white, Kirk Frost's signature alongside Jasmine Washington's, tied to the purchase of a condo in Buckhead. Another document showed Jasmine listed as a silent partner in a small record label Kirk had launched. And another, perhaps the cruelest, showed Jasmine as the beneficiary of a life insurance policy. Rasheeda's voice cracked like thunder. You put her name on your business, on your future, on money that came out of our pockets. Tears streamed down her face, her hands shaking so violently she nearly tore the paper in half. All these years I've been your partner, your wife, building with you, and you out here building a whole other empire behind my back. Kirk stammered, trying to find words, but none came. Rash, it's not what it looks like. It was shut up, she screamed, her voice echoing through the set. Don't you dare try to downplay this. You didn't just cheat on me, you tried to replace me. You tried to build a life with her while using me as your cover. Jasmine sat frozen, her eyes wide with terror. I didn't ask for this, she whispered, almost inaudibly. But Karlie pounced. Didn't ask. Girl, your signature right there. You knew exactly what you were doing. The audience gasped again. Jasmine broke down in tears, her body shaking as she buried her face in her hands. I thought, she sobbed. I thought he was serious. He told me he wanted to make it official one day. He told me. Her words dissolved into sobs, confirming everything the papers suggested. The cameras zoomed in on Rasheeda's face, a mix of heartbreak and fury etched into her expression. She stood up suddenly, pacing across the stage, her heels clacking against the floor. You sat there, Kirk. You sat in my house, at my table, with my kids, pretending like you changed. And all the while, you was making sure Jasmine had a seat at the table too. Do you know how sick that is? Do you know how much of a monster that makes you? Kirk tried to stand, reaching for her. Rash, please don't touch me, she shouted, jerking away. Her chest heaved as she glared at him. You don't exist to me anymore. You're dead to me? The set dissolved into chaos. Michelle stormed out, muttering this some sick mess under her breath. Young Jock tried to mediate, but even he looked disgusted. Brewer, I can't even defend you on this one, he said, shaking his head at Kirk. Kendra Robinson placed a protective hand on Rasheeda's shoulder, whispering legal advice in her ear. Karlie, for her part, looked triumphant. She leaned back in her chair, sipping water as the room exploded around her. Told y'all, she said with a sly smile. The truth don't need dressing up. It speaks for itself. The taping ended with Rasheeda storming off the set, refusing to film another second. Kirk followed, but security blocked him from getting too close. Jasmine collapsed in tears, whispering over and over, I didn't mean for this. And Karlie. She left with her head high, knowing she had just cemented her legacy as the ultimate truth-teller or the ultimate destroyer. That night, clips from the taping leaked online. Fans flooded social media with disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. Not the life insurance policy. One wrote, Kirk really tried to erase Rasheeda like she didn't exist. Memes exploded, hashtags trended worldwide, and the scandal crossed into mainstream media coverage. But beneath all the noise, one chilling fact remained. Karlie had shown only part of the folder. There were still pages left unseen, tucked carefully back inside. And if those pages ever surfaced, they promised to bring an even darker reckoning, one that could ruin not just Kirk, but Jasmine, Rasheeda, and maybe even Karlie herself. The fallout from Karlie's folder reveal was unlike anything the love and hip-hop Atlanta world had ever seen. It was bigger than a scandal. Bigger than a storyline, it was an earthquake that rattled the entire cast, fractured friendships, and pushed Rasheeda and Kirk's marriage to its breaking point in front of millions. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided as the truth spilled across TV screens, blogs, and living rooms everywhere. In the days following the taping, the internet turned into a battlefield. Every fan had an opinion, every blog had an angle, and every gossip page had new inside info. Some fans rallied behind Rasheeda, flooding her page with supportive comments like, "Sis, leave him. You too good for this mess," while others dragged Kirk relentlessly, dubbing him Atlanta's biggest liar in meme after meme. Jasmine was torn apart online, though a small group of defenders argued that she had been manipulated by Kirk all along. And Karlie basked in the spotlight, doubling down on her role as the truth-teller, proudly retweeting memes that crowned her queen of receipts. But inside Rasheeda's home, things were far from triumphant. She had locked herself away, refusing to film, refusing to answer calls, refusing even to see some of her closest friends. The betrayal cut too deep. One night, sitting in her walk-in closet, surrounded by racks of clothes she had bought with Kirk at her side, she whispered through tears, "How do you rebuild when everything you built was a lie?" The silence that followed was heavier than any camera could capture. Kirk tried desperately to salvage what little dignity he had left. He appeared on Instagram Live, sitting in his car, voice low, face gaunt. "Look, I ain't perfect. I made mistakes, big ones. But y'all acting like Karlie showing y'all the whole story. She not? She leaving out context, twisting things to make me look worse. At the end of the day, I love my wife. I always loved my wife. And I'll do whatever it takes to fix this." But the comments, scrolling across the screen, told a different story. "Stop lying, Kirk. Fix what? The insurance policy. You love Jasmine too, huh?" The live ended abruptly, with Kirk burying his face in his hands, unable to endure the barrage. Jasmine, on the other hand, avoided the spotlight completely. After the taping, she disappeared from social media, deleting posts, turning off comments, and refusing to go live. But her silence only fueled more speculation. Blogs claimed she was hiding because Karlie still had more to expose. Rumors swirled that she had fled Atlanta, hiding out with relatives in another state. Others whispered that she was negotiating with producers for her own special episode, where she could finally tell her side. But those close to her said the truth was simpler. Jasmine was terrified. She knew Karlie wasn't bluffing about having more, and the weight of that knowledge kept her paralyzed. Meanwhile, Karlie fed the fire with calculated precision. She dropped small hints on her Instagram old photo of Kirk and Jasmine at a restaurant, the caption reading, "Back when the lies were fresh," or a screenshot of her DMS filled with threats, with her smug response, "If y'all mad, that means I'm doing my job." Each post was like pouring gasoline on a fire that was already out of control. The fans couldn't get enough, dissecting every word, every emoji, every clue. Behind the scenes, Mona Scott-Young scrambled to reshape the entire season around the scandal. What had begun as a subplot had now become the centerpiece. She ordered cameras to follow Rasheeda closely, to catch every raw moment of her pain and strength. She pushed producers to secure one-on-one sit-downs with Jasmine, Karlie, and even Kirk. "This ain't just drama," Mona told her team. "This is history. We capturing history." The cast, however, began to crack under the pressure. Young Jock openly complained in confessionals that Karlie had gone too far. "Man, I'm all for receipts, but you don't torch your friends' lives for views. That's wild." Kendra Robinson was more pragmatic, pulling Rasheeda aside with quiet advice. "You need to protect yourself legally. This ain't just about a marriage anymore, it's about assets, businesses, everything y'all built. Don't let him drag you down financially while you figuring out the emotional part." Her words resonated with Rasheeda, planting seeds of resolve that would grow in the days to come. But the most explosive moment came when Karlie decided to go live again, this time, teasing the unseen pages of the folder. Sitting in her car with the infamous folder beside her, she told her viewers, "Y'all think it's over. Baby, this folder's still heavy. I only showed y'all what y'all could handle. The rest, phew, it'll make the last round look like child's play." The comments erupted instantly, demanding she reveal everything. But Karlie only smirked, ending the live with a single line: "Patience. Y'all, patience." The city of Atlanta was in chaos. Producers reported crowds gathering outside filming locations, chanting support for Rasheeda, booing Kirk, and even throwing shade at Jasmine. Talk shows invited cast members to spill tea, while DJs played clips from the reunion taping on loop. It was no longer just a scandal, it was a phenomenon. The kind of cultural moment that blurred the line between reality TV and real life. Through it all, Rasheeda began to transform. Her heartbreak hardened into determination. Sitting with her lawyer, she reviewed the documents Karlie had revealed, her voice steady. If he wanted Jasmine as his business, she told her lawyer, "But I'm building for me now, and nobody's ever gonna tear that down." Fans crowned her a queen, a survivor rising from the ashes. Kirk vanished from the public eye, his reputation in ruins. Blogs speculated about his next move, but most agreed his empire was gone. Jasmine, too, disappeared, her name forever tied to the scandal, her tears replayed endlessly on viral clips. And Karlie was untouchable. She had done the unthinkable, posed Kirk's ultimate betrayal, destroyed a marriage, and cemented herself as the most unforgettable figure in love and hip-hop history. And though the folder was finally empty, the scars it left behind would last forever. The Frost family was shattered, the fans were divided, and Atlanta would never forget the truth. Karlie unleashed. The night of Karlie's final reveal didn't just end with Rasheeda storming out, it sent shockwaves through every corner of Atlanta. The next morning, the city felt quieter, as if it was processing the weight of what had just unfolded. Blogs exploded with headlines: Kirk Frost tried to marry Jasmine Washington. Rasheeda finally walks away. Karlie Red ends a dynasty. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided beyond recognition. Rasheeda stayed silent for 3 full days after the dinner. No posts, no stories, no appearances. The silence only heightened the suspense. Paparazzi spotted her once, leaving her boutique late at night, her hood pulled low, her face hidden. But when she finally resurfaced, she did it with power. She uploaded a photo of herself standing tall outside Frost Bistro. No Kirk in sight. The caption simple but cutting: "Rebuilding. On my own terms." The post went viral within minutes, drawing millions of likes and an outpouring of support. Kirk, meanwhile, was crumbling. His phone buzzed nonstop with calls he didn't answer. His businesses began to suffer as partners pulled away, not wanting to be tied to the scandal. A leaked text message exchange between him and a close friend painted the picture clearly: "I lost her, for real this time, and I got nobody to blame but me." Fans circulated the screenshot, some mocking, some pitying, but all agreeing that Kirk's empire was in ashes. Jasmine, too, found herself exiled. Everywhere she went, whispers followed. Strangers pointed, muttered insults, sometimes even shouted at her in public. She went live briefly, her eyes swollen from crying, saying, "I never meant to destroy her. I believed him. I thought he was gonna choose me." But the comments were merciless. "You knew he was married. You signed your name. You wanted the crown and got burned." She ended the live in tears, vanishing again into silence. And Karlie strutted through Atlanta like a woman untouchable. She had done what no one else dared. She ripped open the Frost family secrets and showed the world every page. Love her or hate her, nobody could deny her impact. She posted a final message after the dinner episode aired: "The folder is closed. The truth is out. Y'all welcome." The comments section was chaos: praise, hate, disbelief, and fire emojis flooding in by the thousands. The rest of the cast picked sides, their own relationships strained by the drama. K. Michelle publicly sided with Rasheeda, tweeting, "Sometimes strength is walking away. Proud of you, sis." Young Jock remained neutral but admitted during his radio show, "I don't even know what to say no more. That was the wildest thing I ever witnessed." Kendra Robinson doubled down on her support for Rasheeda, offering legal guidance and friendship in the aftermath. By the time reunion promos dropped, the Frost saga had become legendary. Trailers teased more confrontations, tears, and a reckoning between Karlie and the rest of the cast. Fans couldn't wait. "This ain't a show no more. One viewer tweeted, "This real life unfolding in front of us." And for Rasheeda, the journey wasn't over. She stood stronger, her pain transforming into resolve, her heartbreak into fuel. In one final confessional clip, she looked straight into the camera, her eyes fierce. "He tried to erase me, but I'm still here, stronger than ever. And this time, I'm writing my own story." The screen faded to black, but the echoes of her words lingered. The Frost family would never be the same. The fans would never forget. And Karlie's folder. It had changed everything forever, and so, after weeks of whispers, receipts, confrontations, and tears, the Frost empire stands shattered. What began as Karlie Red's cryptic post turned into the revelation of a lifetime proof that Kirk Frost wasn't just hiding text messages or secret payments, but building a shadow life with Jasmine Washington while Rasheeda fought to keep her family together. Fans are shocked, emotions have run high, and the family is left more divided than ever. Rasheeda, once the quiet backbone of her marriage, rose through the rubble stronger than anyone expected. She walked away with dignity, her businesses intact, her pride restored, and her supporters louder than ever. Kirk, stripped of excuses and credibility, now faces a future haunted by his own lies. Jasmine, caught between villain and victim, may never escape the stigma of her role in this storm. And Karlie cemented her legacy as the woman who tells the truth no matter how destructive it is. But the bigger question remains: what happens next? Will Rasheeda finally file for divorce and cut Kirk off completely? Can Kirk ever rebuild the empire he so recklessly dismantled? Will Jasmine fade into silence? Or will she resurface with her own side of the story? And is Karlie truly finished? Or are there still secrets in her vault that she hasn't unleashed? One thing is certain: Atlanta will never forget the night the folder opened, and the truth tore through lives like wildfire. Now it's your turn. What do you think comes next? Should Rasheeda walk away for good? Was Jasmine manipulated, or was she a willing accomplice? And do you believe Karlie did the right thing by exposing it all, or did she cross a line no friend should? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more explosive updates, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single twist in this story. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's this: in Atlanta, the truth is never really finished.